Yes, it is election day in the city, and people all around the six may be split about who they are voting for. But there is this one thing we can all agree on, and it is our love for the Leafs. You will not believe the incredibly revealing memoir about one legendary Leaf, the one and only Cujo, Curtis Joseph. He joins us this morning with his really an amazing untold story about his life. It is called Cujo, the untold story of my life on and off the ice. So I have been talking your ear off. Was reading it this weekend, couldn't put it down. I was brought to tears. I was relaying your stories, you know, growing up to my husband, and it made me cry all over again. And there's so much strength and hope and inspiration in you sharing your truth, and you don't sugarcoat it. Tell us why this was the time to talk about what it was like growing up for you.
Well, I was always embarrassed of my childhood. You know, I didn't embrace it until, obviously, I met Stephanie, my wife, and she loved it, and she would make me feel comfortable about it. And just talking to you, this is exactly why I wrote it. The feedback that you've given me, thank you for reading it. And like you've said earlier, if I can help somebody overcome adversity by reading the book, then I've done my job.
I don't even know how to begin to talk about your childhood. Growing up in a home where there was a lot of neglect, you didn't have enough food. You figure to this day, looking at your kids, you should have been a good 6'3", 6'4", but you just didn't have the food to nourish you. You grew up in a very tough place filled with mentally ill men in a mattress that was filled with cat urine. I mean, we can go on and on here. It is a thing of horror stories. And yet, you always had hope. And you would keep friends close and say, maybe this is what a family dynamic is supposed to be. How did you look past all the bad?
Well, I really believe that I'm a glass half full kind of guy, always positive. And, you know, that's just your life. That's just, you don't know any different, you know, until you go to your friends' houses and see some normalcy, and you crave that. You crave that family environment. So I'd always ride my bike in the wintertime to go to school, and I'd stop at their house. You know, I would never take the bus or anything. I'd stop at their house and then go to school. But certainly it's something that it's your life and you don't know any different, but everything kept getting better. Everything kept getting better as I get older, and I crave for that life that I wanted, and being positive is very important in that book.
I know you did. You talk about getting in touch with your birth mom, and one piece of advice you share is that you think parents should be open with their kids if they're adopted. How come?
It's a great question. I'm glad you read it. Yeah, I was told, which was very correct, I believe, that I was adopted before I even knew what the term adopted meant. So it was a natural progression. I think, for me anyway, surprising somebody later and that they find out that they're adopted, they're not your natural parents, would be a lot tougher. You should tell them right away before they even know it, and I think that's the best way to do it.
And speaking of keeping good people close, Tyler Stewart is a friend to us here. You know him as the drummer from Bare Naked Ladies. You guys struck up such a great friendship. Talk to us about what it was about Tyler that stood out for you.
Man, he was so confident in high school, which I was not, you know, and everybody loved him. The teachers respected him. He was able to talk to teachers like friends, and he was the funniest guy I knew at the time, and still is. And he made me laugh, and I love to laugh, and I love people who make me laugh, and he still does. He walks in a room, I start laughing. So we've maintained that friendship.
What advice do you want to give to people who are watching now? Like I said, this isn't just for hockey fans out there. It's for anybody who feels like they're too short, they're too skinny, they're too fat, they're not popular enough. You know, as children trying out for something, or as adults trying to make our way through the world. What do you hope people get from reading your story?
Yeah, there's two parts of the book for sure. The first part is growing up, and hopefully through the first part, and this is what Kirsty was fantastic at getting the message across, and what I wanted to portray with this book is, you know, there's always something better around the corner. Always try and be positive all the time. You never know what you can achieve, and I was too small and played single A my whole life, and I needed to get a scholarship. That's what I want. I kept my eye on the prize. Nobody told me I couldn't do it. Nobody told me I couldn't do it. And lo and behold, at 21 years old, I got a scholarship. So anything's possible, and I was the most unlikely guy to make the NHL.
And now look, NHL legend, and we are so grateful that you were brave enough to share this story. We think it's crazy that you stop pucks for a living. This is even more brave, I think, is to share this and really help us. Curtis actually has a book signing at the Babe Lure Indigo in Toronto tomorrow at 7 p.m., so go see him, pick up this book. You can also check out his other tour stops across the country at cujobook.ca. For more information, go to breakfasttelevision.ca. Will you stick around for our chat a little bit later?
I will.
Thanks,
Thank
Cujo.
you.
Right now, we're going to throw things over to Mel.